My first government job was about almost 10 years ago. Came into Transportation Security Administration. I was in logistics as a background, and 9/11 hit, and was very motivated to do something for the country, so moved out to DC from Phoenix. Fortunately, my girlfriend came with me, and we moved into DC and took about a year to get in with TSA, but got in and fortunately ended up working for a gentleman, Bob Zemeniski, who is fortunately still there, and I think arguably one of the best managers in the federal government. So I was very lucky to come in with him. One of the things I learned coming in from the private sector was I didn't know everything. And I think that was one of the realities that hit, really early on. And one of the things that I did pick up from Bob was I was in the stakeholder relations group in maritime and land at TSA, so the non-aviation component of TSA. And we dealt with stakeholder relations. And so coming from a client-facing background, I was very comfortable in interacting with the stakeholders, but much like in the private sector, there are a whole army of folks within your organization that you've got to go collaborate with. And so one of the things that Bob really kind of walked me through was the collaboration process and how you develop those stakeholder and partner relationships within your own organization to go get things done. So I think it's one of the main lessons learned that I've got was building a strong collaborative network within your organization to help get things done. There were a couple things. I think one of the main things, lessons learned that I had was one, take chances. I think that a lot of people can get very comfortable and not want to extend a little bit and take some chances. I learned very early on at about 25 years old. I had a friend in Chicago and we moved out to Phoenix to start a small business. And while that didn't work out, it taught me two things. One, taking chances, you're going to be okay, right? Take calculated risks. That's good. It's good for the soul. And the second thing I learned was it's okay to fail, right? We gave it everything we had. It didn't work out. And I learned a lot from that experience. So failure early on is okay, right? So as long as you land right and you build from that experience. I think Edison failed hundreds of times before he hit the light bulb, and I think that's a good lesson learned for anybody just getting started. A couple things. One, if you're not feeling overwhelmed, you're not challenged, right? So you should feel overwhelmed if you're in the right sort of situation, right? I think the other component of that is learn from it. While you're in it, while you're in the moment, take a step back and really learn from what you're going through. Talk to your peers, talk to your mentors if you have them, talk to your boss, get feedback, talk to others that have gone through a similar situation. The number one thing to learn in that situation is learn from your experiences, and then figure out what worked and what didn't. And then so when you come into the next one, your whole career, if you're challenged, and you should want a job where you're challenged, that you're making a difference and you're providing value, those aren't easy. Those are going to take some time, and that journey through that process is extremely important. Well, I'll list a couple here. The first one I got from my father, and he taught me this very early on. He says, work harder than everybody else and do it all the time. The second thing I learned was from my mother, and hers was listen. You're going to learn far more by listening than by talking. And then the last thing I learned from when I came into the private sector when I was relatively young was from a manager was be a leader, right? Take chances, set vision, bring people together to go solve hard problems. One of the main ones is find a mentor, whether it's a formal mentor or whether it's an informal mentor to help you, guide you through some of those tough spots. I think that's extremely important early on in your career to find someone and then listen to their guidance, because they've been there, they've done that. Really understand some of the challenges that they've gone through because you're probably going to hit them, at some point in your career. I think the other is depending upon what industry you're in or what other interests you have, try to stay up and current on what's happening in your industry. So read the trade magazines, if you will, to keep you current and build your network of resources. Well, I didn't get in until I was very early 30s, and I tell you, I have really found it to be one of the most rewarding experiences that I've had in my professional career. I've had successes in the private sector and enjoyed that, and the financial benefits were nice. but there was something that was just inherently missing. And with 9/11, that got me to come around to what was missing and professionally in my career. I wanted something more rewarding, and I wanted to give back. And coming into the federal government, it's provided just a great experience. It's something that I wouldn't change for the world. And I think the other thing is it's a buffet. You have financial services, any vertical you can think of is in the federal government. If you like healthcare, if you like financials, if you like national security, intel, law enforcement, it's all right here. The other part is if you want to do the horizontals and you want to do IT, or you want to do the financial, or you want to do contracts, it cuts across each one of those verticals. So it kind of mimics what's out there in the private sector. I think the other piece of it is you can have a global and a national impact on decisions. And so it's a really rewarding experience.